Hi, and welcome to CryptoBiography. I'm your host, Brandon Starr. This is episode 420 of CryptoBiography, and it's part 6 and the finale of The Herd and the Army. And here we go. Tarve talked about his night. He talked about how small the humans were, how they were reliant on lights at night, how they almost fell down the cliff not seeing it in the dark, how his father had been treated and what they seemed to want to learn, and everything he could think of about their weapons and armor. When he was done, they thanked him, said they might have more questions later, and sent him on his way. Braun went with him. "They'll have to do without me a short time. Let me show you your part in the spearhead making." He showed Tarve what he needed him to do. He would take the proper ingots and do the rough shaping. Braun would then finish the work, making it sharp and also making the cuff to connect the shaft. After watching Tarve do the first rough forming, Braun nodded and left to help prepare the village. "If you have any questions, come find me," he said, "and I'll drop by to make sure everything is proceeding well." In a while, Braun returned and seemed pleased with Tarve's progress. "How's the defense coming along?" Tarve asked. "Well," Braun replied, "now that the sun is starting to go down, it's likely the humans will wait until morning to attack. Otherwise, we'll have too great an advantage. That gives us until morning." Braun took his tools and started finishing one of the spearheads Tarve had roughed out. "How are the shafts coming?" Tarve asked. "They'll start bringing them any time now," Braun replied. "They have a number of workers turning out the shafts, so they should be done far before us." Within an hour, the first batch of spear shafts was delivered. By then, Braun had finished 3 spearheads. He took some time to attach them with nails, which they had plenty of already. Braun tested it. It was strong and straight. He threw it across the forge at a post, and it struck square and went in deep. "We will work through the night," Braun said. He could finish the heads faster than Tarve could rough out new ones, so when he had caught up, he also helped with Tarve's work. They managed to make about 3 spears per hour between them, and the shaft makers were easily able to stay ahead of them. So by morning, they had nearly 30 spears. Braun went to get the elders and let them know to have the conscripted villagers come to get their weapons and start practicing. Tarve was exhausted, as was Braun. They went to sleep, but only for a few short hours. Then the alarm gong sounded. Tarve woke up immediately and grabbed his spear. The sun was a bit over the horizon, and there would be no sight advantage over the humans. A group of minotaurs had built a rough, waist-high rock and sandbag wall in a strong position where they determined the humans would be likely to arrive. They had piled up stones behind it and had spears as well. The general idea was to throw the spears only when there were no stones available. The human, Thomas, was shouting through a bullhorn, "If you don't surrender, we will attack." But they were not going to surrender. The humans fired, but as the minotaurs were mostly hiding behind stone walls, little damage was done. Prava, one of the elders, had apparently gotten some further information from Tarve's father. They can only fire their weapons once, then it takes a long time to prepare them again. Wait until it seems like most of them have fired their weapon, then attack. The humans seemed to be waiting for a better chance to fire. Tarve crawled up to the wall, grabbed a stone, took a quick look over the wall, ducked back down, then raised back up and threw a stone. It hit a human who went down immediately. But 3 or 4 humans were quick enough to fire at him. One struck his right horn, cracking it. The crack traveled down to his skull, and it hurt mightily. He gave a huge bellow, took a couple more stones, and stood up again. He threw another stone, missing, and then hitting a human who was still holding a readied weapon. Then he grabbed his spear and charged. The other minotaurs bellowed, filling the air with roars, and followed. Tarve charged the nearest and thrust out with his spear. It went through the man's face and out the back of his skull. Tarve wrenched it free and continued, still bellowing. Around him, his fellow minotaurs were screaming and fighting. The humans fought back. Many fired their weapons, but they were given no time to reload. Tarve and the other minotaurs crushed them, often with only 1 blow per human. At some point, Tarve felt a great pain in his upper arm, but he kept fighting. Soon the humans were dead or had fled. He looked down. His arm had been hit by one of the fire sticks. It hurt, but he was too angry to feel it much. The humans needed to be hunted. If they regrouped or were given time to reload, more minotaurs would be hurt. They chased the humans, crashing through the undergrowth, following the humans. Every time they caught one, they crushed them. Not one survived. Tarve grouped up with a few other minotaurs. They'll be making for their ships, Tarve guessed. They gathered as many minotaurs as they could find and headed for the ships. In minutes, they saw the ships. Tarve knew there would be another one in the canyon to their left, but there were 4 others. There were plenty of humans. When they saw several dozen minotaurs charging them, and no signs of their other better-armed allies, they panicked. Some did have weapons and fired them, but it did little. Tarve and the others charged them. Their armor availed them little for those who had it. Tarve personally killed 4 who had put on their armor, and many more who had not. Soon the humans were giving up on fighting and were trying to get their ships out to put to sea, but the minotaurs did not allow it, and soon the ships were all afire. All afire, that is, except for the ship in the hidden cove. Tarve grabbed some rope and led a group of minotaurs there. As they rounded the corner, they saw the ship had been backed off the sand and was making its way towards open waters. But they had to pass Tarve and the other minotaurs first. Tarve tied his rope to his spear. He let fly, and it struck deep into the wood. He knew he didn't have much time, so he started climbing. It was awkward with the ship in motion, but he managed to reach the railing just as one of the humans managed to cut the rope. He pulled himself on board and charged the humans. No other minotaurs were able to help him, but none were needed. Soon they were all dead at his feet. And he put the ship aground. Perhaps they would refurbish it and use it to patrol the island. But that would have to wait for another day. For now, Tarve was able to return to the forge, rebond with his father, and start a romance with Marta. And that's the end of the story. And if you have any comments or questions about this episode or previous episodes, cryptobiography@gmail.com, or hit us up on Facebook or Blue Sky. And thanks for listening. Actually, just a quick word before I finish. I sort of enjoyed this. I enjoyed writing this story, but I don't know how well it turned out. It feels a little too similar to some of my other stories, but also simpler. I kind of like aspects of it, and I like some of the world building, especially early on. But I think I needed to plot it out a little more thoroughly and a little better. Anyway, I still hope you liked it. And like I said, it was fun to write. And there we go. Copyright 2025, Brandon Starr, all rights reserved. Characters and events are fictional, fictionalized, or satirical.